Good afternoon, colleagues. I was going to cover HR, but Dave Cook's beat me to it. He did it most of it under health and safety. But anyway, since the last conference, this executive worked tirelessly on your behalf to improve your terms and conditions and keep you safe in the workplace. I just want to give you a brief flavour of the work that's gone through the HR Whitley. First, I think it'd be only right to start with the pandemic. At the start of the pandemic, our aim was to protect all our clinically vulnerable staff and those who are pregnant as well, and also to make sure that staff who were assessed as not being fit for the workplace continue to get paid during the pandemic. And we were successful. We did all that and we managed that. And the losses, the figures speak for themselves. What we achieved during the pandemic was fantastic. The NEC and HMPPS, we consulted on all the EDMs and the SOPs, but we didn't have to implement them at local level. You did that. So what we achieved as a service during the pandemic is down to you as local reps and local governors. So give yourselves a big slap on the back. Thank you very much. Right, the pay review body, we thought long and hard this year before making a decision as to whether we would submit to the pay review body. We decided to submit, and we did that. And that was supported with oral evidence given by a team who put a lot of effort into that submission. I'm aware on social media that there's been some sort of dissent as to whether we should have done that because conference wasn't sitting. I would urge you to read that report in its entirety, and also the letter that Tim Fletcher, the chair of the pay review body, wrote to Dominic Raab, expressing his disdain for the way the government had handled the pay review. So read that report if you haven't read it in its entirety. And the fitness test, which Dave's already alluded to, well, the pandemic's told us one thing. Do we need a fitness test in our prisons? Has it made any difference to the way prison officers do their jobs? This fitness test has been gone for 20 months. It's not made a blind bit of difference. Your ability to run in a straight line to the tone of a bleep for 8 minutes does not make you a good prison officer. If the employer is serious about looking after their staff, let us have a well-being test where every 3 years you go for a body MOT and it'll tell you how you're doing and it will make you change your lifestyle if there's something wrong. That's what we will continue to push for. The employer doesn't have any appetite for changing the test at the minute, but we will keep on pressing that. And we'll also be going down the lines of the equality impact assessment because we know this is unfair for female staff going through the menopause. So that's our aim with the fitness test. Now, flexible working. There's a lot of work on the table at the minute regarding part-time work, work-life balanced, annualised hours, in order to get operational staff to have a better work-life balance. This isn't the employer being charitable. This is the employer being desperate. We can't keep staff. So what they're doing is they're trying to appease everybody to keep as many staff in post as possible. There's some work going on about shaping a new employees officer. So basically, Ricky Hislop applies to the prison service saying, I can work 4 hours on a Wednesday morning and 3 hours on a Thursday afternoon. Thanks, Ricky, you're in. That's how desperate they are. There's only one way to recruit staff and keep staff, and that's to pay them a wage that competes with all the other market forces. Give us a decent pay and people will stay. You've heard the General Secretary of the National Chair talk about discrimination. We've been working closely with the employer in order to stamp out discrimination in our workplace, and we want to get that message across to all our members and people in the wider prison community. There's a new unit set up last year called TUBU, Tackling Unacceptable Behaviour. We've been working closely with them and monitoring their results, so we'll see where we go with that. Supporting women in the workplace. I've done some work lately on the menopause because several members in my establishments have suffered from it. And what a lot of governors aren't aware of is there's a menopause toolkit available for everybody. It's across the MOJ and it's applicable to HMPPS. There's all sorts of reasonable adjustments on there that you can make for female staff going through the menopause. No one's using it. No one's paying a blind bit of notice. Like with a lot of things in the prison service, we've got policies in place, but we're not using them. Why? It's there. Occupational health. We've recently negotiated an improved agreement with occupational health for all staff returning to work from long-term sickness, and that includes long COVID as well, because it's been recognised that these staff need the support. And let's have it right, long COVID is unknown at the minute. There's a new grievance policy on the table, which we've just been consulted about. The employees presented it to us to be consulted upon. In reality, it isn't any improvement at all on the last one. It's still heavily weighted in favour of the employer and open to abuse by managers. We, as an executive, will be actively involved during the consultation period, and we will strenuously put our views forward. We aren't prepared to accept a policy that isn't fit for purpose and that denies our members natural justice. That's just a brief oversight of some of the stuff that's been going on through the HR Whitley. Thank you.